The Ford Mustang Mach 1 is a performance-oriented option package of the Ford Mustang, originally introduced in August 1968, as a package for the 1969 model year. The Mach 1 title adorned performance-oriented Mustang offerings until the original retirement of the moniker in 1978. As part of a Ford's Heritage program, the Mach 1 package returned in 2003 as a high-performance version of the SN95 platform. Visual connections to the 1969 model were integrated into the design to pay homage to the original. This generation of the Mach 1 was discontinued after the 2004 model year, with the introduction of the fifth-generation Mustang. Ford first used the name Mach 1 in its 1959 display of a concept Levick car called the Ford Rotunda. This concept vehicle used a cushion of air's propulsion on a circular dais. Introduction of the Mach 1. The Ford Mustang was successfully introduced in April 1964 as a sporty pony car to attract younger buyers into Ford products. After a few years of development, Ford saw the need to create performance Mustangs to compete with GM and their release of the Chevrolet Camaro and Pontiac Firebird. As the performance war continued, the Mustang's platform and engine bay were progressively redesigned to accommodate larger engine blocks. Late in the 1968 model year, Ford introduced the 428 cubic inches Cobra Jet FE engine in a small group of Mustang GTs and into the 1968 Shelby GT 500kr. This was a strong performer and indicated the direction of the 1969 Mustang. However, GT wasn't a name that would initiate images of street-screeching performance. Hence the introduction of the Mach 1 title. 1969 Euro 1970. 1969 was the benchmark year for Ford Mustang in its proliferation of performance names and engines. No less than 6 factory performance Mustang models were available. Additionally, 7 variations of V8s were available in the 69 Euro 70 models. Most of these also available in the new Mach 1. Due to the Mach 1's success, the GT model was discontinued after 1969 following poor sales of 5,396 units, versus the 72,458 sales for the Mach 1. The Mustang would not wear the GT badge again until 1982. The Mach 1 package was only available in the sports roof body style. Never on the coupe or convertible. Many resto mod visual conversions have since been performed by owners and enthusiasts, but are not Mach 1s by van code. The Mach 1's original recipe was simple. It started with a V8-powered sports roof body and added numerous visual and performance-enhancing items such as matte black hood treatment with hood pins, hood scoop, competition suspension, chrome pop-open gas cap, revised wheels with Goodyear Poliglas tires, chrome exhaust tips, deluxe interior, unmissable livery and dealer-optional chin spoiler, rear deck spoiler, and rear window louvers. Standard equipment was a 351 cubic inches Windsor 2V motor with a 3-speed manual transmission, and a 9 inches 28-spline open rear axle. A 351W4V was optional, as was a 390 cubic inches FE, and the huge 428 cubic inches Cobra Jet 4V with or without Rema, and even the introduction of the drag pack option with the modified 428 cubic inches Super Cobra Jet engine. A 4-speed manual or 3-speed FMXC6 automatic transmission was optional, and the 428 SCJ added a cast-iron tail shaft in place of the regular aluminum one to the C6. A traction lock rear axle was optional, and the 428 CJ included a traction lock with a 3.91 or 4.30 ratio, 31 spline axle shafts and a nodular case. In 1970, the 3.91 ratio was a traction lock, while the 4:30 ratio was a Detroit locker. Mach 1s came with upgraded suspension to varying degrees dependent upon powertrain choices. Big block cars had front shock tower reinforcement, thicker sway bars, and heavier springs and shocks. 428 CJ 4-speed cars also came with staggered rear shocks. Standard on Mach 1s was a fierce but cosmetic hood scoop that had integrated turn signal lights mounted in the back. A more functional option was the signature shaker hood, an air scoop mounted directly to the top of the motor, used to collect fresh air and so named for its tendency to shake above the rumbling V8 below. The interior came complete with teakwood grain details, full sound deadening material and high-back sport bucket seats. In 1969, endurance driver Mickey Thompson took 3 Mach 1 Mustangs to the Bonneville Salt Flats for a feature in Hot Rod magazine, in the process setting 295 speed and endurance records over a series of 500-mile and 24-hour courses. Ford kept the Mach 1 alive into 1970 and little changed other than the visuals. The 1970 body included dual-beamed headlights with the previous inner headlights becoming sport lamps and recessed tail lights on a black honeycomb rear panel, side scoops behind both doors removed, revised bucket seats, deep dish sports wheel covers, as well as new side and rear badging and striping were the main visual differences. 1970 saw the previous 351W V8 engine options replaced with the new 351 cubic inches Cleveland V8 in either 2V or 4V versions. The 351C4V engine featured 11.01 compression and produced 300 bhp at 5400 RPMs. This new performance engine incorporated elements learned from the Ford 385 series engine and the Boss 302, particularly the poly-angle combustion chambers with canted valves and the thin-wall casting technology. 69 to 70 engines. 1971 a Euro 1973. In 1971 the Mach 1 started with a base engine of a 302 SI-based Windsor motor, with a 2-barrel carburetor, followed by 4 optional 351 Cleveland engines, the 2V, 4V, the CJ, Cobra Jet, and HO. Boss 351. The HO was cancelled after mid-year 1971, and shortly thereafter the low-compression 351 Cobra Jet became available. At the top were 2 429 SI options, the CJ and SCJ. Mach 1s, as well as all other Mustang models were available with the optional CJ and SCJ motors. The SCJ came with a drag pack V or W code rear gears, oil cooler and a different rotating assembly. 429 Super Cobra Jet engines used 780 CFM Holley 4-barrel carburetors, while the Cobra Jet engines utilized GM-sourced Rochester Quadrajets. One of the most recognizable features of the 71-73 Mustangs is the optional NACA hood with dual scoops. Though available as a visual, non-functional item, they could be made fully functional on models ordered with the Ram Air option, which included vacuum-controlled flappers at each scoop, and a fiberglass underhood plenum that directed cool, outside air into the carburetor. The Ram Air option included a 2-tone hood paint treatment in either matte black or argent, coordinated to the color of the Mach 1 decals and striping. In addition, all Ram Air-equipped Mustangs of this generation came equipped with twist-style, chrome-plated hood lock pins. In 1972, the 429 CJ and SCJs were dropped from the lineup, and horsepower dropped across the board due to the switch to new SA net horsepower calculations. The following year also produced the fewest Mach 1 sales of the 1971-73 generation. There are no major differences in the 71 and 72 Mustangs externally, other than the addition of a Mustang script on the right side of the trunk panel. The 72 Mach 1 also saw deletion of the pop-open gas cap, which was replaced with the standard twist-on cap found on the other Mustang models that year. The 302 Windsor remained as the base Mach 1 engine, with the 2 or 4-barrel 351 Clevelands as the only options. In 1973, the front bumper was enlarged in accordance with new NHTSA standards, and all Mustang models had their sport lamps changed to a vertical orientation at each end of the grille. As the new bumper covered part of the front valance, the sport lamps also served as turn signals. Both a Mach 1 and base grille were offered, with differing insert patterns. The rear bumper was also mounted on new impact-absorbing extensions which caused the bumper to protrude from the body further than before, and the 1973 Mach 1 graphics were also updated. Engine options remained the same as in 1972. Due to trouble getting the Ram Air option approved for emissions reasons, Ford offered an exterior decor option in 1973 that consisted of the 2-tone hood treatment, but without the actual functional components of the Ram Air system. Actual engine options available with Ram Air in 1973 were limited to the 351 2V, even though the 351 4V Cobra jet remained optional on every model. Film appearances: A 1971 Mustang Mach 1 was featured in the James Bond film, Diamonds Are Forever. Of the three known cars that claim direct connections with the film, only one M-code car, van number 1F05M160938, has been proven authentic. A black 1973 Mach 1 was prominently featured in the 1990 Steven Seagal film Marked for Death, eventually being crushed by a bulldozer and blown up via Molotov cocktail. 71 to 73 Mach 1 engines. Chart does not reflect the Boss 351 variant of the 351 Cleveland or 250 SID I-4, as neither were available in the Mach 1 package. The 1972 A Code 351HO package, essentially the solid lifter Boss 351 motor from 1971 with a reduction in compression from 11.01 to 8.81, is listed here, as it was available with the Mach 1 package that year. 1974 to 1978, the Mach 1 name continued with the advent of the Mustang II in 1974. The downsized vehicle, fitted with the 2.8L V6 rated at 105 HP, outsold the Mach 1 models of the previous 4 years. The 302 Windsor returned in 1975, rated at 140 HP and 240 lb-ft of torque, giving the Pinto platform a notable performance boost. Also available was a 4-speed manual. The Mach 1 remained mostly unchanged in 1976, as a new performance model, the Cobra II, was introduced alongside. 1977 proved to be the weakest sales year of the Mach 1 to date, selling only 6,719 units. The nameplate remained for one more year, upon when it was discontinued with the advent of the third-generation Mustang in 1979. 2003 to 2004, during the 1990s, the preeminent performance Mustang was the SVT Cobra. Following the departure of the Fox chassis in 1993 and the arrival of the SN95 in 1994, Ford also sought to eliminate the 302. Drawing on its newly developed OHC architecture engines known as the modular, SVT created the 1996 and up Cobra around several variations of the 32-valve, all-aluminium 4.6-liter V8. The 32-valve 4.6 V8 used in the Mustang Mach 1 was originally introduced in the 1993 Lincoln Mark 8, however for the Mach 1 it was re-engineered with a free-flowing exhaust and intake manifold to increase the engine by 30 horsepower. Below the SVT in performance was only the GT, reintroduced in 1982 with the 302 HO 5.0, later turning to the 16-valve SOHC V8 in 1996. The sales on the new SN95-style cars increased, so that by 2002, Mustang sales topped the combined sales figure of the Firebird and the Camaro. With GM's withdrawal from the pony car wars in 2002, Ford had a free hand at the whole market but nonetheless created what was arguably the fastest stock Mustang up to that point in time with the 2003 Euro 2004 SVT Cobra. However, concerns over a price gap between the GT and Cobra, as well as interest in keeping sales up before the release of the all-new 2005 S197 Mustang prompted the creation of two unique mid-range performance models, the 2001 1/2 Bullet GT and the 2003 and 2004 Mach 1, both credited to Team Mustang led by Art Hyde and Scott Hogue. Following the stir caused by the retro 2001 Bullet, Ford saw the value of heritage in the Mustang name and as a follow-up, sought to revive the Mach 1 name. While similar to the Bullet in the use of the Cobra's 13-in Brembo front brake rotors, unique Tokico gas shocks and struts, and lower and stiffer springs, the Mach 1 received a huge performance gain over the base GT and even the 265 HP Bullet in the form of a unique variant of the DOHC 32-valve 4.6-liter modular V8. Commonly known by Mach 1 owners as an A-code DOHC, this all-aluminium engine features the same high flow heads as the 2003 Euro 2004 SVT Cobra, 2003 Euro 2004 Mercury Marauder, 2003 a Euro 2005 Lincoln Aviator, and the 2003 a Euro 2009 Australian Boss 5.4 LV8S. The engine also has intake camshaft sourced from Lincoln's 5.4-litre Intech V8 to provide more mid-range torque. The Mach 1 engine had a 10.1:1 compression ratio in contrast to the 1999 and 2001 Cobra's 9.851, and the Mach 1 was equipped with a Windsor aluminum plant or watt block unique from the Texid aluminium blocks used in the 1996 Euro 1999 Cobras. The Mach 1 also featured a relatively high readline of 6,800 rpms and fuel cutoff at 7,050 rpms or 5,800 rpms. While on paper the 305 HP ratings seem a loss when compared to the 1999 and 2001 SVT Cobras which produced 320 HP, in practice the Mach 1 engine produced similar peak horsepower and substantially more torque. Further differences included the use of Ford's 8.8-inch solid rear axle with a 3.55 final ratio, also the availability of a 4-speed automatic in addition to the Tremec-sourced 5-speed manual. Factory steel box cross-section subframe connectors were also added to increase chassis strength for both the added handling and to deal with the prodigious torque over the stock GT. Style-wise, the Mach 1 was very distinct from other Mustangs as it drew heavily from the 1970 Mach 1. In addition to the matte black spoiler and hood stripe, flat black chin spoiler, Mach 1 rocker panel stripes and Mach 1 badging on the rear, there were also faux Magnum 500 polished 17A, 8 alloy wheels. A retro-themed interior was included with well-bolstered dark grey leather seats featuring 70s-style comfort weave textures, a 1970s-style gauge cluster and a machined aluminium shift ball. An optional 18G interior upgrade package included stainless steel pedals, a 4-way head restraint, aluminum finished shift boot trim ring and door lock posts, and aluminium look bezels on the dash. The most noticeable difference visually from other Mustangs was the bulging hood with cutout and the return of a semi-legitimate shaker hood. While physically identical in placement and function, it only provides a portion of air to the motor routing to the airbox ahead of the MAF. It does function well as a cold air snorkel, and a partial ram air at speed. 2004 saw only minor cosmetic changes to the Mach 1. 2004 Mach 1s can be identified by bare aluminium finished valve covers, as opposed to the 2003's black finished covers. Outside, 2004 Mach 1s wear 40th anniversary tags ahead of the doors, while the 2003 has the traditional Mustang running pony and tricolor bar. The lone interior change was the deletion of the overhead cargo net mounted on the headliner. Despite pre-production rumors, the horsepower and torque ratings were not increased in 2004. Power rating was 305 HP and 320 lb-ft. Unlike many limited edition cars, 2003 Mach 1 owners had a variety of standout colors from which to choose. Originally, the cars were offered in black, dark shadow gray metallic, torch red, zinc yellow, Oxford white and the Mach 1 a Euro only azure blue. In 2004 zinc yellow was dropped as an option and replaced with a more vibrant yellow called Screaming Yellow, as well as an all-new color called Competition Orange. With such improvements in power and a relatively light curb weight of 3,380 lb, the 2003 Mustang Mach 1 posted magazine test numbers that were impressive given its $29,305 price tag. Magazine tests by Motor Trend found numbers from 13.88 seconds at 101.9 mph for the automatic-equipped 2003 Mach 1 with a 5.6 second 0 Euro 60 mph, up to the 5 speeds 13.5 seconds at 105 mph with a 5.2 second 0 Euro 60 mph time. All this while maintaining a decent 63.5 mph on a 600-foot slalom and 0.85 ga Euro S on the skid pad, though the higher CG of the larger DOHC motor has created a tendency to understeer more than the IRS-equipped SVTs and lower CG and lower curb weight Bullet GTs with the same basic suspension and brakes. Limited in production, the 2003 and 2004 Mach 1s ended with a new edge body platform, the discontinuation of the Fox-framed unibody, and the introduction of the first new frame design since 1979, the S197 with 9,652 2003s and 7,182 2004s being built, contrary to the Mach 1 originally being advertised as a one-year limited-run model with production set at 6,500 cars. References. External links.